All this unknowingly the frog does it. It is because within seconds the chemicals or signals will be sent to the brain through this nervous system, which will tell the frog exactly at this time what it has to do. Within a second the frog just leaps. How will it come to know? Because you're going from behind the frog. So the forebrain, it includes olfactory lobes, a paired cerebral hemisphere and an unpaired diencephalon. So therefore forebrain includes diencephalon. It is true. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to this session on class 11th Biology for CBSE. I'm Dr. Divya, Biology faculty, Vidhyaashram School of Excellence, Mysuru. So in this session, let us learn about the topic System for Control and Coordination, wherein we'll learn about the brain, that is the structure of the brain, and also let's learn about the nervous system in the frog. And once we know about it, we'll move on to studying about some of the MCQs under this particular topic. So to begin with, System for Control and Coordination. It is System for Control and Coordination because any movement an organism does, that is under animal kingdom, it is mainly controlled by the brain and the nervous system. So that is why the control and coordination, the functioning of the endocrine glands as well as the nervous system, all that is very, very important, and it should go hand in hand if the whole body function has to work properly. So under this, we'll study about the neural system and the endocrine glands. So first, talking about the endocrine glands. So these are structures that actually secrete certain hormones which are very, very important for all the functions in a body or in the frog's body to take place properly. So the chemical coordination of various organs of the body is achieved by hormones. That is what I meant. So which are secreted by endocrine glands. So what is the function of the endocrine glands? The main function is to secrete hormones which helps in balancing the coordination of the frog's body. So any work has to occur properly in the frog's body. These endocrine glands which secretes hormones are very, very important. There are some very important endocrine glands that are present or secreted in the frog. They are the pituitary glands, which is usually located in the brain region, then the thyroid glands, the parathyroid glands, the thymus, the pineal body, the pancreatic islets, adrenals, and gonads. So these are the different types of endocrine glands which are present in the frog's body that secretes various hormones that are needed for proper functioning of the frog. So talking about the nervous system. So the nervous system is very important to send signals from one part of the body to another, like how we use our mobile phones nowadays, wherein it is nothing but a network wherein that is one person staying in one place can talk to another in another place because of this network. Same way here also, to send messages, that is if the frog has to hop or if it has to leap or if it has to catch a prey. Say for example, if it has to catch a prey, it should open its mouth, it should stick out its tongue, that is its bilobed tongue, and then catch the prey, and very soon it has to draw the tongue back, right? So all this unknowingly the frog does it. It is because within seconds the chemicals or signals will be sent to the brain through this nervous system, which will tell the frog exactly at this time what it has to do, right? So all that is controlled by the nervous system only. So the nervous system is actually organized into the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, and the autonomic nervous system. So talking about the central nervous system, like in we human beings also, we have the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, right? Central nervous system is the nervous system which is present at this region, that is a brain and a spinal cord. Similarly here also in the frog, the brain and the spinal cord, it forms the central nervous system, or we can say that the vertebral column and the brain forms the central nervous system. Next, talking about the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral means from the sides. So all the nerves which are connected from the limbs, from the hands and all that to the spinal cord and then to the brain will form the peripheral nervous system. Similarly, in the case of frogs, the peripheral nervous system, that is from the forelimbs, from the hind limbs and all that, whichever nerves are connected to the vertebral column or the spinal cord of the frog and then to the brain, it forms the peripheral nervous system. So the peripheral nervous system includes the cranial and the spinal nerves. That is, those nerves connecting to the brain will be called as the cranial nerve, and those nerves which are connecting to the spine or the spinal cord will be called as the spinal nerve. So from where does these nerves arise? From the sides of the frog's body. So these are the spinal nerves. You can see how all these nerves are connecting to the spinal cord of the frog. That is right from the forearms to the muscular hind limbs as well. So these are spinal nerves. Then comes the cranial nerve. So all the nerves that are connecting to the brain. So this is the brain part of the frog. So those which connects to the brain is called as the cranial nerve. Why it is called cranial is because cranium is that hard part that actually covers the brain of the frog. Like how the skull covers our brain, like that it is the cranium. So that part is called as the cranium. So therefore it is called as the cranial nerves. Next, talking about the autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system means the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. So sympathetic and parasympathetic. What is the function of the sympathetic and parasympathetic? So sympathetic, say for example, somebody is coming to hit you. Will you stand there and get beatings from that person? No, right? You just want to run away from there to protect yourself. Or something is going to happen, you just want to run away from that place. So whenever there is a threat or a danger or you're scared of something, at that time these sympathetic nervous system, they send signals, or the sympathetic nerves, they send signals to the brain wherein it says that okay, at this moment you have to get out from that place to protect yourself. So that is during any unwanted situations or unusual situations, to protect yourself, the signals are sent by the sympathetic nerve. So that is the function of the sympathetic nervous system. Now what is the function of the parasympathetic nervous system? Okay, I told you, when somebody is coming to hit you, you don't stand in a place but you run from there to protect yourself in order to hide or something, right? Because you don't want to get that beating. Now, will you keep on running? No, there is a state wherein the brain will tell you, okay, you're out of danger now. Stop, enough of running. Stay calm, be calm, right? So that signal is sent by the parasympathetic. So that is the difference between the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Likewise, in the case of frogs also, whenever there is a threat or something, say for example, you're walking in your crop field, wherein you suddenly see a frog, one step you just put on the ground wherever the frog is, within a second the frog just leaps. How will it come to know? Because you're going from behind the frog. It is because the frog, the senses sense the signals, that is, okay, there is a danger, I need to protect myself, so it will just hide itself by jumping into the water. So that signal is sent by the sympathetic nerves. Now parasympathetic, after jumping into the water, it will just stay down under the water, and after some times it will just come up. So if you hide and see, now after some time it will come up, meaning the brain will sense that okay, now the danger is gone, I can come out freely out of the water. So that signal is sent by, or the signal of calmness is given by, the parasympathetic nerve. So that is nothing but the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Now talking about the cranial nerves. So what are cranial nerves? Cranial nerves are those peripheral nerves which are connecting to the brain, are called as the cranial nerves. So how many cranial nerves are there totally? So this is an important MCQ. So totally 10 pairs, meaning 20 cranial nerves arise from the brain. So from the brain there are 20 cranial nerves, or 10 pairs of cranial nerves, that is 10 from this side and 10 from the other half. So those which will move to or which are distributed, or which will continue to different parts of the body in order to receive the signals. So therefore totally 10 pairs of cranial nerves arise from the brain. And the brain, it should be protected, because the brain is a soft structure. It needs a protection. So the brain is protected by a very hard bony structure which is called as the cranium, and it is the brain box because it protects the brain. And the brain is divided into the forebrain, that is the front portion of the brain, which is the forebrain, the midbrain and the hindbrain. Similarly, in frogs also, it is the forebrain, the midbrain and the hindbrain. So this is about the nervous system. Next, especially the brain. Next, we'll talk about the different parts of the brain and what is the function of these parts. So forebrain. So forebrain includes olfactory lobe, the structure of the forebrain, what is there in that and all, we shall see. So before that, I'll draw a diagram to make you understand it very clearly. So this is the structure of the brain, that is the frog's brain, how exactly it looks. So it is a compact structure. To make you understand, I've just elaborated it and drew it. So it is divided into the forebrain, that is the first part, front part of the brain, which is the forebrain. After the forebrain, it is the midbrain. So here comes the midbrain. Then comes the hindbrain. So what is there in the forebrain, the midbrain and the hindbrain, we shall look into. So the forebrain includes olfactory lobes, paired cerebral hemispheres and unpaired diencephalon, meaning olfactory lobes, 2 cerebral hemispheres and 1 diencephalon. So this is what these are the parts that are present in the forebrain. So we shall see where exactly they are situated in the forebrain. So this is the olfactory lobe, and then comes, I told you it has paired cerebral hemispheres. So these two are the cerebral hemispheres. So 2 in number, they are paired. It is the cerebral hemisphere. Then after the cerebral hemisphere, they have an unpaired diencephalon. So this region is the diencephalon. So what are their functions? Olfactory. Olfactory has something to do with the smell, right? So whatever smell and all that, taste related, smell related, all that is controlled by the olfactory lobe in the forebrain of the brain. So these two, that is the paired cerebral hemisphere, they are the thinking parts of the brain, wherein they think, that is in such a situation what the frog has to do. All that thinking section is the cerebral hemisphere. So it helps the frog to think. Next, diencephalon. The function of the diencephalon is to vision, to give vision to the frog and also to help the frog balance properly. So these are the functions of these three. That is the olfactory lobe, the cerebral hemisphere and the diencephalon that is present in the forebrain. So now going to the midbrain. So in the midbrain, what is there? It is characterized by a pair of optic lobes. Again here, 2 optic lobes. So optic lobes will be present. Now this optic lobes, again what is the function? Vision. It helps the frog to see. So that is the function of the optic lobes. Next comes the hindbrain. So hindbrain consists of cerebellum and medulla oblongata. So even in humans also, medulla oblongata and cerebellum are present in the hindbrain itself. Same thing in the case of frogs also. So here it has the cerebellum and the medulla oblongata. So the function of the cerebellum is actually it coordinates the movement of the muscle. So if the frog has to leap, if the frog has to jump and all that, the muscles need to be coordinated, wherein proper back and forth movement should be there so that it can leap. Otherwise what happens? The muscles can get stiffened and the frog cannot leap or jump properly. So therefore the function of coordinating the muscles is done by the cerebellum. Next, talking about the medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata is needed for digestion and respiration. So how the digestion, at what time it has to occur, how the digestion has to occur, the respiration. So when the frog takes in oxygen, where and all it has to circulate, what has to happen to it, all that is decided by the medulla oblongata itself. So these are the functions of the cerebellum and the medulla oblongata. So these are the different parts of the brain, wherein in the forebrain there is the olfactory lobe, the cerebral hemisphere which is paired and the unpaired diencephalon. In the midbrain they have a pair of optic lobes and in the hindbrain they have the cerebellum and the medulla oblongata. So the medulla oblongata, it passes through a foramen magnum, and then it continues. It passes through a structure called as the foramen magnum, and from the foramen magnum it continues and joins the spinal cord, which is present in the vertebral column. So this is about the nervous system of the frog. Next, let's look into the sensory organs that are present in the frog. So frogs have different types of sense organs, that is organs of touch, that is sensory papillae. So like how in our skin we have the organs of touch, the sensory papillae, just like that frogs also have sensory papillae in their nerve endings. And taste, that is taste buds. Also in their tongue nerve endings, they have the taste buds which help the frogs to taste. And they have the nasal epithelium which forms the covering inside their nostril which helps them to smell. And they have eyes which helps them in vision, that is to see. And the hearing, that is they don't have an external ear like how we humans have. Instead they have an internal ear which is called as tympanum. And out of these, it is the tympanum and the eyes, that is the external part which we can see. But apart from that, they are called as the organ. They form the organ. But apart from that, there are only group of cells which are present in the nerve endings. They are the sensory papillae, the taste buds and nasal epithelium. Wherever the nerve endings are there inside the frog's body, there you can find them. So for example, they are found in the nerve endings of the tongue, that is the taste bud, sensory papillae in the nerve endings of the skin, or one more is in the nerve endings of the nostrils, there is the nasal epithelium that is present. That is, all those three are nothing but cellular aggregations around the nerve endings. They are not the organs, but they are the cellular aggregations. That is the sensory papillae, the taste bud and the nasal epithelium. The rest of the two, that is eyes and tympanum, these are well organized structures which can be called as organs. Okay. So next, the eyes in frog. So how does the eyes of a frog look? It is spherical and it is situated in the orbit of the skull. That is, the skull has two sockets wherein the eyes will be situated. So the eyes are situated in orbit of the skull, and the eyes are simple eyes like how we human beings have. They are simple eyes, and the external ear is absent, and the frogs only have tympanum which can be seen externally. The ear is in the ear of the frog not just helps the frog to hear, but also it helps the frog to maintain balance or equilibrium. Say for example, even we human beings also, sometimes if something goes wrong within the ear, then we tend to lose balance. Like, so same way here also, to maintain equilibrium of the frog's body, the ear has to function properly. So this is about the sensory organs. So next, let's look into some of the MCQs. So there are dash pairs of cranial nerves in frog, 5, 8, 10 and 12. So we had studied right in this topic that it has 10 pairs of cranial nerves. Next question. Hormones in frogs are secreted by exocrine glands, endocrine glands, nervous system, medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata is a part of the hind brain that actually controls the digestion and respiration and all that. Exocrine glands, there's nothing like that. Nervous system actually carries all of the signals, that is their function, to different parts of the frog's body. But it is the endocrine glands that actually secretes hormones which controls the coordination in the frog. So this is endocrine glands. Next question. The hind brain or hind brain of frog consists of hind brain. What it consists of? Cerebellum and medulla oblongata, cerebellum and olfactory lobes, medulla oblongata and optic lobes, olfactory and optic lobes. Olfactory and optic lobes. So olfactory lobes are present in the forebrain. Optic lobes, so this is in the forebrain. Optic lobes is in the midbrain. Here medulla oblongata is in the hindbrain. Optic lobes again the midbrain. So therefore this we can eliminate. This we can completely eliminate. Cerebellum is present in the hindbrain. Olfactory lobes is present in the forebrain. So therefore this option can be eliminated. The right answer here is cerebellum and medulla oblongata, because option A, both of these are found in the hind brain or the hind brain. So option A. Next question. Identify the incorrect statement in frog. Pituitary and thyroid glands are present. That is true because they have pituitary and thyroid glands, which are endocrine glands. Central nervous system includes brain and spinal cord. Yes, the central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. Forebrain includes diencephalon. So the forebrain, it includes olfactory lobes, a paired cerebral hemisphere and an unpaired diencephalon. So therefore forebrain includes diencephalon. It is true. Hindbrain includes cerebral hemisphere. No, because cerebral hemisphere is present in the forebrain. Hindbrain actually includes medulla oblongata and the cerebrum. So therefore this option is correct because this is not a characteristic of frog. I mean, it is a characteristic of frog, that is cerebral hemisphere, hindbrain, everything is there. But cerebral hemisphere is not present in the hindbrain. It is present in the forebrain. So therefore, so that is why option D is the right answer here. Because the hindbrain contains cerebellum and medulla oblongata. So next question 5. Brain is enclosed in bony structure. So that is called as the brain box, right? What is that brain box called? Skull. Humans, it is called as skull, cranium, thymus, vertebrae. So thymus is a gland. Vertebrae, it is the spinal cord that is there. Related to the spinal cord, it is cranium. So, which is the hard bony structure that covers or protects the skull, it is cranium. Or the brain, protects the brain in the frog, it is cranium. Next question. Cranial and spinal are components of, or cranial and spinal nerves are components of central nervous system? No, because brain and spinal cord are components of brain and spinal cord are components of central nervous system. Peripheral nervous system, it is the cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. Cranial and spinal nerves. So therefore this one, because I told you cranial nerves, that is connect from the sides of the frog to the brain of the frog, and that is spinal nerves connect from the peripheral regions of the frog or the sides of the frog to the spinal cord or the vertebral column. So therefore peripheral nervous system is the correct option here. Autonomic nervous system, it is sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. There is nothing like autoimmune nervous system, so this option can be eliminated. Out of these three, it is cranial and spinal nerves are components of the peripheral nervous system. Option B is the right one here. Next question. Dash is the organ of touch in frogs. Organ of touch. Nasal epithelium, it is the organ of smell. Taste buds is present in the tongue, so it is the organ of taste. Sensory papillae is present in the skin of the frog, which is organ of organ of touch in the frog. So tympanum, it is an external ear, organ of hearing. The internal ear, which is an organ of hearing. So therefore the option for 7th question here is option C, that the sensory papillae is the organ of touch in frogs. Next question, dash are cellular reactions at the nerve endings in the frog. So we know that tympanum and eyes, they are proper structures or organs in the frog, but there are some sensory structures which are present only at the nerve endings, and they look like cell aggregates or group of cells. So what are those? Sensory papillae, taste buds, both A and B, none of the above. Both A and B is the right answer here. So therefore we have to choose the option C, because both A and B are the right answer. So option C is the right answer for this question. Next question. Dash organ helps the frog in maintaining equilibrium or in maintaining balance. So maintaining balance is which organ we have to choose here. Tympanum, forelimb, hindlimb, eyes. Forelimb and hindlimb, of course, they help the frog to jump, move around and all that. Eyes, they help the frog to see. So don't get confused with forelimb and hindlimb. They just help in movement. So when the frogs are moving, they need to balance or have an equilibrium. That is maintained by the tympanum. So therefore option A is the right answer here. So this was about the session wherein we learnt about the nervous system of the frog, and also we learnt about the sensory organs in the frog. So, and also we got to know some of the MCQs under this particular topic. So I hope you understood the session well. We shall meet again in the coming session wherein we will take up another topic under this particular chapter and learn the MCQs under it. So see you in the next session. Thank you.